Today we have to go beyond the brave. So make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more on this content. Over the last 12 hours, the new set dropped. We got the cover theme, and it was Joey and Red Eyes creating a new archetype with the Time Wizard. But rippling through the community has been a discussion about these new monsters. These new monsters, there's a lot more to them than what we have been anticipating here. And the reason for this is because a discussion popped up talking about these new monsters are based on an alternate ending to Yu-Gi-Oh! Do you know how crazy that is to hear? So what's going on right now is, if you take a look at any of these new monsters, we'll have the Jinzo posted here. You're going to notice is that Battle City in the background of the Jinzo. Why does it have the color scheme that it actually has? Well, according to the discussions floating around on OCG Twitter, it evidently is a reverse shadow of time or an alternate reality here. There was also something noted by Kazuki himself in one of the older volumes that there was a potential for an alternate ending that had existed a little while back that had never really been explored by him. Basically, it's actually kind of cool to know that from what I've read, it's the new cards from Jojoichi was created using a clue from Mr. Takashi's words, publishing in the afterwards the Bunko edition, which served as another ending to Yu-Gi-Oh! So basically, we're in an alternate reality here, boys. We have somehow Konami. I gotta clap for you guys. You guys are absolutely impressive on this one. I didn't think you guys had it in you to do something this crazy. Now, coming from Chaos Origins, where, Mind Shuffle was created as a manga archetype to be able to kind of counteract, Pegasus, rotating between, literally Black Luster Soldier and, Dark Magician of Chaos. And little Yugi shuffling back and forth between that. That was frickin' sweet, all right? But there's also just the fact that now we've gone into Battle City now, and Battle City was always kind of a questionable thing within the game itself. Because when you looked at that thing, like there was the Joey versus, Yugi thing with him to get his Red Eyes back at the end. The question always became like, what if Joey actually had surpassed Yugi at that point? Joey is not the guy that is supposed to be, all powerful. He's just the average Joe trying to play some Yu-Gi-Mons and do well out here. And we've now created an alternative story to provide this. I don't know. I love that the card game has been allowed to branch into a what if possible side of story. Now, this does answer a couple questions here. The first one being, we're on the 30th anniversary of the game. Is there a possibility that somebody from Kazuki's studio writes this alternative ending? We get another mini arc possibly showcasing the alternate ending. I don't think that that's going to be the case here, but you have to remember, for 30 years of celebration for this game, Konami is going back and actually pumping up the manga at this stage. So this was the first part of the video I want to talk about, because I thought that this was very important to talk about these new Joey cards being a possible alternate reality to the lore of the game, giving you this impression that, Joey has somehow found himself, in a different place, and actually, because Time Wizard was always slammed on the table as a spell card anyway. So you always had this little thought in the back of your mind. It was like, okay, so, what could we, really work with to get this? And I think it's amazing. The other question is like, where's Thousand Dragon? Where's Little Wingard? Joey had, and I really do hate to say this, but like, Joey had a lot of monsters. Like, he had so many that were very, very, very close and dear to him as allies. The problem is, though, you can only print so many of these in a revisiting of the archetype. Now, there's a question of, Win Beyond the Brave, and going forward, how much will these other archetypes receive support? There's also, I don't know if you know this or not, but didn't we just get like a card that searches for a coin flipping effect? I do kind of feel like when Konami makes these things, they will like put little crumbs in other sets to kind of try to power them up. So going beyond the Brave here, the Thousand Eyes Dragon question and so forth might open up into whatever we've got planned beyond this set, which also opens up an entirely other discussion here. We speculated, well, I didn't get to post the video because I was one day off from posting it, and they dropped everything early. So Beyond the Brave was supposed to be a hero set. A lot of people kind of looked at this and initially all said, well, this is Beyond the Brave. We're revisiting Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point. The question becomes, how do we do it? Obviously, the way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has followed the pattern for years is, they would do every era would be one set. This is the first time that Konami has shattered that mold and has said, hey, we are actually going to do the opposite here. We're going to go dual monsters set to dual monsters set. Now, the next entirely crazy topic of conversation here becomes, where do we go next? Are we going to keep up the dual monsters era, or are we going to go to two of each generation? I think there has to be more manga stuff involved. I just don't think that Konami wanted to put Pegasus on the cover of a set. This does kind of open up the door to Blue Eyes. I would love to see a virus archetype from Kaiba. If you've looked at the way that Kaiba has played his cards, Crush cards, Soggy the Dark Clown, there are some very, very cool. And we just made that trap card that gave you the ability to possibly bring out 5 normal monsters. That's crazy. Could you also imagine, like, I'm not going to say like an alternate telling of like Kaiba, but like it would be really cool. Also, as you hear the honking of the truck going by here, I guess an alternative discussion here as this goes is, what about the Egyptian gods? If you've done Yugi's Dual Monsters Island, you've done Joey for Battle City, do the Egyptian gods open up into the next set? How much of the Egyptian god retellings are we going to have here? There's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now for the 30th. I'm getting more and more excited about this as we're going here. Egyptian god retrains would just be crazy good though. But you'd have to make them so like they could like tribute into like their original forms, like mode change, like tribute this Slifer to bring out, Slifer the other Sky Dragon, something like that. That way the original would still maintain itself, because you don't want to take away from the already existing, Egyptian gods. But wow. Also, I did mention this felt like it was supposed to be a hero set. And I do feel like, still to this day, I still feel like there might be hero support lurking around in here. Konami does this thing now where they pick 4 themes and they dump them in. The first one being Joey, which will remain 3 more within this set. And you can't just pick a name like Beyond the Brave and not expect your entire player base to just start speculating, because damn well that your player base was going to look at this from the very beginning and they were going to be so excited for this. Like I said, I am a crazy fangirl for lore. I love everything that we are going through right now. And, we still have details coming for the 30th this month that we don't know just yet. I do think we need to be a little bit patient here and see where that goes. But Beyond the Brave, sorry, I'm tearing up a little bit here. This is awesome, man. I love this. You guys have a good rest of your day, all right? You guys have a good rest of it. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.